Welcome to the Holistic Accountant Podcast. This is where we cut through conventional accounting and show you how a genuinely holistic approach drives better after-tax outcomes. It's not about ticking boxes or churning out tax returns. It's about strategic advice that builds lasting wealth. If you find this episode valuable, leave a rating and share it with someone who will benefit. Okay, today we want to talk about buying assets in a business. That could be, plant and equipment. Could be something as simple as a car that might use a little bit for personal use. Could include things like buying a business premise, whether that's a factory, a retail shop, or, a practice premises for a medico, whatever it might be. We want to talk through, how do you approach these considerations to either buy, lease, or finance or rent the asset that you might be utilizing. And quite often people approach this with what's going to give me the best tax outcomes, or in fact, they're attracted to buying the asset from the outset because of a tax deduction or, a tax outcome. But in reality, a deduction doesn't turn a bad investment into a good one. It still needs to be a good investment. There needs to be a return on that investment. And that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, and that's what it really comes down to, Stuart, the return on that investment. So you really got to ask yourself, well, what the core question is will this asset actually produce a return above its total cost? Am I going to get an absolute value to it, or is it sort of like a personal use asset that I can somewhat claim in the business, but it's not going to give me a great return? So what we mean by returns, is it going to increase your revenue? Is it going to create more efficiencies in your business where you're going to get a better margin? Or is it potentially going to just reduce your overall labor costs from implementing a sort of any particular machinery? Now, a lot of assets that we purchase, we don't really have a gauge on what that efficiency looks like. So it's really important to try and measure this. Force a commercial lens into the decision-making process. What does this asset really need to generate for me for it to actually become or be worthwhile to justify the purchase? If the asset itself isn't producing any yield, then financing it isn't a great idea because it's not really washing its own face. It's basically, costing you money for the sake of costing you money. So leverage only works when the asset actually outperforms the debt. So the asset yield, or the return, as I was mentioning before, must exceed the cost of capital. This is when we'll actually look at leveraging the asset. So obviously with the leverage comes the tax deductions, and it's beyond basically the headline rates of rates, fees, balloon payments, and so forth. It's more about I'm getting a return on my investment. I'm using someone else's money to basically get an improvement in my business and getting a tax deduction for it. I've got to caution that sometimes cheap debt doesn't necessarily create value. So you'll hear about a lot of headline rates around 1.99% rates and for this sort of asset acquisition. And you're thinking, okay, that's a lot lower than what the sort of current market rates are and so forth. So it might yield, a great result. So basically my cash flow is neutral, but it's actually costing you money. It's costing you the opportunity of taking on that lending because it could affect your borrowing capacity, could affect your ability to do something else altogether. So there's a difference between cheap debt and good leverage. So sometimes having a higher rate for a better quality asset can yield a better return on the capital expenditure than what cheap debt can.
So let's assume you've thought of buying an asset, whatever that asset might be. You've considered the return on investment. You believe that there's actually going to be a return on investment. We now need to think about how we're going to fund that asset purchase. And really, we've got typically kind of three options, if you like. We can go and buy the asset outright. So put our own cash into the deal, not use any borrowings, and own the asset outright. We can lease or rent the asset, so we don't take ownership of the asset, but we get use of the asset. Or we can use sort of a chattel mortgage or equipment finance or some other sort of lending facility where we can own the asset but use some debt funding for it. There's no real one size fits all with the decision around this, and it might change, in fact, from asset to asset for the same business. But you just need to really think about, the amount of capital you want to contribute towards that asset. Of course, leasing or renting the asset over the life, the useful life of that asset is probably going to be more expensive, but of course you don't have the responsibility of the ownership of the underlying asset, and it tends to give you a little bit more flexibility as well. Using some sort of funding, be it a chattel mortgage, equipment finance, a separate loan, a business loan, whatever it might be, of course gives you the flexibility. You can claim the depreciation because you own the asset, and it gives you potentially more control, but it comes with obviously the cost of that finance. And the key consideration there is, what does that finance cost? And buying outright, which means putting your own cash into the deal, really just means reinvestment of retained earnings of prior year or current year profits. And you just need to think about, whether that's a smart move. Sometimes tying more capital up in a business isn't always the smarter move. Having low leverage in a business can make it a stronger business, a more stable business. That's absolutely true. But it gets to a point where you can underlever a business too. So you've got too much capital tied up. I guess that depends really on your personal situation, your personal plans. But I think being too single point sensitive, having too much capital tied up in a business is not ideal, both from a personal perspective and even potentially from a business perspective. So I think it's really just engaging with your holistic accountant to really work out what the right financing structure is for you. But realize this is just the financing structure. It's very separate from the return on investment decision. So sometimes these get muddled up. I can go and rent this asset. It's not going to cost me very much. I don't have to put any money into it. That's how you finance it. Doesn't necessarily mean you need that asset or that asset's going to give you a return on investment. So it's important to distinguish between these two very separate decisions. And so the other thing we need to think about is liquidity as well. There's a lot of businesses in Europe, for example, Germany, I've spoken about this before. They tend to hold a lot of cash compared to, say, US-based businesses or, non-European businesses tend to hold a lot more cash on the balance sheet than a company in the US might do or in Australia. And they might return that capital through dividends or buybacks or whatever it might be. Whereas European companies tend to like the, low debt, lot of cash. So we can't underestimate the benefit of liquidity. And so that, I guess, just points us a little bit more towards sort of funding or borrowing or renting equipment as opposed to putting our own cash in. But like I said, I don't think there's one size fits all. I think it's going to be different for different businesses. And it's really about having a strategic approach to this. I don't think it's something that you want to necessarily answer on an asset by asset decision. And it's not just an afterthought, if you like. It should be part of the strategy. If you know that you're going to have to invest in plant and equipment or buy lumpy assets, part of the strategy should be how are we going to fund that and what sort of level of combination between equity and debt do we want to utilize.
Thanks, Drew. And I think what's important to discuss as well is around depreciation or instant asset write-offs and all these illusions of tax savings. Now, yes, you get a deduction for depreciation over time and instant asset write-offs, you get the deduction up front. But what you still got to consider is that it is a capital outlay. It is, unless you're getting a benefit where the revenue outweighs the actual cost of the asset, then you're actually no better off. So a lot of decisions are being made in businesses. I remember when they introduced $150,000 asset write-off during COVID time. It reminded me almost of the plan apartments that they used to sort of sell to sort of professionals to just get the depreciation benefits, but the capital asset actually depreciated in value more than it was actually worth. So what's really important is to focus on the underlying asset. Let's not get sort of trigger happy with the illusion of these tax savings. It's really important to make long-term decisions, not based on short-term tax positions. So it's really important to focus on the asset quality, the return on the asset, the return on the capital that you're outlaying before you actually make a decision about acquiring a particular asset.
Okay, let's talk about some business mistakes that relatively common, I guess, or the most common business mistakes. Well, sometimes it's a ego or vanity thing. We'll go and spend more money on some fancy new equipment just because it looks good or it feels good without any consideration to the return on investment. That's not ideal, of course. Letting vendors or brokers, sell you with the idea of buying this new equipment and selling you the idea, hey, it's not going to cost you very much, or the cash flow difference, or the tax benefits, and so forth. There's never going to be any shortage of people out there willing to sell you some sort of equipment. That's 100%. But it comes back to really, do you need it? What is the return on investment? Can you afford it? Is now the right time to do it? And then also treating all assets equal. There's going to be some assets in your business that are very productive and are critical to either maintaining profit margins, expanding revenue, expanding services to existing customers. And there's going to be other assets that are you just need to have them, but they're not really going to move the dial very much. So don't treat all assets the same. And also think about capacity, to what extent, and this is really goes to return on investment, to what extent does upgrading your equipment or or buying new equipment change your, future expected cash flows, after tax cash flows? That's what we really want to understand. How is it going to move the dial in your business? And taking this very deliberate approach is absolutely critical to make sure that your business is working hard for you, not the other way around. So just to summarize, there's a few steps in this process. The first one is really focus on the commercial outcome, the return on investment. Really understand and get very clear on why this asset might actually improve your outcomes. The second element is be really clear on and realistic on utilization. So are you actually going to get the use out of the asset? To what extent is it going to be used? How many customers are actually going to use this asset? Does it really expand your revenue base? Again, these are all come back to return on investment. The third step is understanding, okay, how are we going to fund the investment? Are we going to put our own cash into it? Are we going to rent the asset, or are we going to use some sort of debt or equipment finance? Fourth, pressure test those scenarios. So what happens if revenue is actually lower than expected? What happens if there's downtime with the asset? How easy is it to get parts? That all goes to downtime. You need to stress test these elements just to really make sure you're going in with a realistic financial expectation. And then lastly, if it clears all those steps, then of course it's probably looking like a good asset to buy. The problem is, in reality, very few business owners go through such a rigid process, and quite often they've been distracted by shiny objects. And we see it all the time. They'll ring us up or email us and I'm thinking about buying this asset, going to buy this car, going to buy this commercial property. And, when you dig a little bit deeper in terms of, okay, what's the outcomes here? There's normally you're met with crickets, with silence. So that's why we want to record this episode today, is really give business owners a more robust process for really interrogating their own ideas here with respect to buying assets and equipment, and making sure they're approaching it with a very well thought out and robust process. Okay, we'll leave it there for today. Until next week, bye for now.